Hey everyone, happy Monday. I have it's a little bit different than sort of what I've been doing, but it's also not really. I don't usually do intros. Well, I sort of like go into the video and then I do an intro, but I also feel like, I don't know, that doesn't feel super authentic to me. And I feel like there are bits and pieces of my personality that I don't really put into the videos, like a bit about my humor and like goofiness and silliness and stuff like that. Like sometimes I do, but it is more so like I just go through my notes and I literally kind of go through in my head, like before I record the video, I go through everything that I want to say, like kind of word for word, just so I can get all my notes down and my thoughts down. But it also at the same time doesn't really feel authentic to how I'm feeling in the moment, because I do journal and I do like script these things a few days beforehand, a few days before I record. So it's not necessarily authentic in the moment. It is still stuff that I feel and have experienced, but I think a lot of my emotions in the present moment are not like taken, like accounted for, basically. So I'm still gonna do the same thing, but it's gonna be a little bit more of sort of my experiences and less of like talking and like pushing, like you should do this, like we do this, people feel this and people do that. Like not as much as that, but more so is like talking about my experiences and trying to connect and really express myself. So today's reflection came from when I was reading the book Wicked. And also, if you don't feel like listening to the video, I have my blog down in the description if you prefer to read instead of listen and watch a video. So this is my Wicked book here, and it's so big. It's like, I don't even know, maybe like 500-600 pages. It's actually 733 or 30 something, because it's both the first and the second Wicked book. It's Wicked and Son of a Witch in here, and I love this book so far. I'm almost at page 300. I almost knocked my camera over. And there was a part I was reading the other day, and I wasn't sure, honestly, what to reflect about and what to do the video about until I read this portion. So it's a part in the book where I'm not going to give all the backstory, but in this specific section, also, like, if you want to read the book, I absolutely suggest it. I love it. And it's a lot different from the movie, even though I feel like a lot of similar things are in there, like her and Fiyero and stuff like that, how they're sort of like, in this book they're lovers, in the actual book they're lovers, and they do have like a relationship, but in the movie it's not really spoken about. It's more of something that they're hiding. But even though they're still hiding it in the book, they do actually like meet each other like over a period of months and stuff like that. So there's this part where it's years later after she's been with Fiyero, and I think she's trying to find his widow and basically explain everything to her, because he was murdered after, like, she didn't see him like or anything that happened to him, because like it was just a lot, and she doesn't really know what happened to him, but she does want to apologize and face his widow, Sarima, in quote unquote guilt and responsibility, and then to remove myself from the darkening world. And she is talking to this elephant. Her name is Princess Nastoya, and she's basically like, oh, can I stay with you, like asking the elephant if she can stay with her, because she like feels so like understood by this elephant. And the elephant is like, no, like by your own admission, you have a job to do, and you have to like go do this thing. You have to face Sarima. You have to like face the repercussions, whatever happens after that. Like you need to, that is your mission. And at the bottom of that page, on page 239 of this book, it says, yet there was blessing in this night. Elphaba had forgotten blessing too, like so much else. And it was like such a difficult moment for her. And she was like, so, I don't know, she was like really shocked that, I guess maybe that she felt understood, but also like she did have to go on this mission, and she sort of did have to do this thing, and she couldn't really get out of it. And I think it was just a difficult time for her, maybe meeting her, and just a lot of things that she didn't really expect. But it says, yeah, yet there was blessing in this night. And I feel like sometimes, at least what I took from this, is that sometimes we can take blessings from things that we don't really think are a blessing in the moment or initially, because a lot of my life I have really been told what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing, what works for me, especially from people who didn't really get to know me or don't really know anything about me at all. And I've been told just so many things about who I am, again, by people who haven't even taken the chance to know me or learn the things that I actually do like and the things that I want to do in my life. So that used to really, really frustrate me. But I think the blessing in that was that it drew me closer to myself, and it actually made me learn about the things that I truly do like and the things that I care about, because I think learning those things that I didn't like just drew me closer to the things that I do like, and it made me reflect more. So part of what I sort of did them in bullet points in my journal this time. I usually write them out in like full sentences, but just the first bullet point I have is the blessing in being an outcast, feeling like you don't belong, but still standing in your truth, because the peace that comes from deeply knowing and loving yourself is greater than any sadness of not fitting in. That is the first bullet point I wrote. And yeah, I feel like even though it might not feel like it at the time, like when we're not standing out, when Elphaba doesn't really fit, I don't know what I just said, but sometimes it can feel like fitting in is more of a blessing than standing out, because it's what everybody else is doing. It seems like it's the right thing to do because so many people are doing it. Because, you know, if we see a group of people and we don't really fit into that group of people, it feels daunting, especially when, you know, like if you're younger and you're just trying to fit in, you're just trying to make friends. It can really hurt when you don't fit in, or when those people don't really see you for who you are and understand or accept you for who you are. And I feel like, especially in like going back to Wicked, I feel like that is a lot of what Elphaba feels, especially because of her green skin, and also in the book that she has a lot more like defined features. Like she has a really like pointy nose, a really pointy chin, like a lot of features that are off-putting to people who don't want to get to know her, who think that she's like a freak and whatever it is. But there are also people who see through that and see her for who she is, and those are just like, you know, the right people that do care about her. But yeah, I think for the most part a lot of people don't accept her, and I feel like that feeling of not being accepted can be really hard to find the blessing in feeling. Sometimes it feels like that's all it is, like this is how you're going to feel. You're going to feel like an outcast forever, and it doesn't really feel like you're going to find the right people, because it feels like no matter where you try, at least sometimes, and in my experience, it feels like no matter how hard I tried, that I just didn't fit in. And like the harder I tried, I feel like the worse it got, and to the point where I had no choice but to be myself. I had no choice but to like be on my own a lot of the time, and to then really get to know myself. Because when you're by yourself, it's like you can sit and distract yourself for so long until you actually have to come to terms with who you are, and you know, just even like just sit there and talk to yourself. Like you have to accept yourself and get to know yourself at some point when you are isolated and on your own and feeling like an outcast. My second bullet point, reading Wicked has taught me more about how powerful it is to be yourself, even when people are telling you that who you are isn't accepted. As long as you accept who you are, no one else matters. And this is also a lot of what I talk about, I think, just on this channel in general, is just authenticity and being yourself, no matter how many people are telling you like that person is not accepted or not right in some way. Because I think those people are just used to what they're used to. You might not be what they're used to, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you at all. And yeah, it took me a long time, I think, to understand that. And it sort of led into me like shunning a lot of parts of myself and a lot of things that I really like. And like even through high school, like in middle school, I feel like good friends who brought out like other sides of me and like things I didn't know I like, which I still like to this day. And we were, again, like, since we're in middle school, like, we're like, what, 11, 12 years old, like, you're still learning yourself, especially as a kid. Like, you're learning that there are other kids that are like you. There are other kids who also have different interests. And even though sometimes I feel like middle schoolers can be really big bullies and they can be so mean, middle school was one of my worst times for like being bullied and like all that kind of stuff, because I feel like kids do just say whatever comes to their mind. Like, yeah. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But it was also like the time that I made really good friends who, like, we could hang out, we can listen to music, and we can make like funny videos, and we can put on costumes and like do fun things, and we can like skateboard. We used to call it butt boarding. We would sit on the skateboard and go all the way down the hill, like on the sidewalk next to our house, down the hill, and see if we could make it all the way down. If we could not, if we hit a bump and we fell off, we would laugh, and like the next person would take a turn. So it was like, it was fun things like that where I feel like I really learned what I loved and the things that made me happy, because there wasn't really anybody around to tell us that those things were stupid or whatever, weird or cringy. And I think that really happened more so as we got older, even though like middle schoolers, I think, can be like the worst. They can really be so mean, and they can like bully you in a way that is really, really accurate. And I don't like that. They get really, really deep and like specific. And it's like, okay, why would you make fun of my legs for looking that way? Like, okay, how did you know that was one of my insecurities? So, but middle schoolers are funny. And I remember being in middle school and also like having a good time outside of the bullies. I was not one of the bullies, and I just kind of like kept to myself and like the few friends that like I got along with and stuff like that. And we had a good time. Like I said, we would butt board. We had like these Teletubby costumes, and we would like dress up in those and make videos and things like that. And then I think we also had a green screen at one time, and we would set it up in my room and like try to make videos, but we were 11 and didn't really know what we were doing or anything about technology, so that didn't really go very far. But yeah, we would play and do things, play games and do things that we really, really enjoyed, because there was that group of us that truly like enjoyed them and had fun. And even I had like friends who were in like different groups, and friends who were like I knew in different ways outside of school, and we would all just like hang out together, and we didn't care. Like nobody cared. We just cared about having a good time and having fun. And we would like walk down to the waterfront where I lived, and like it would be like a 10-minute walk to the waterfront, and we would go get ice cream. And then like we would walk around and like do stuff, and like, I don't even know, make like a silly video of us doing something, or like lip syncing to a song, and then we would like walk back. Like, it was just so much fun that we would have, and we wouldn't really care about what anybody else felt. So I feel like, me personally, again, just all my personal experiences, when I got to high school, it became more about truly, truly fitting in, especially in like my school. I think it was maybe 300 people, 300 kids within all 4 grades. And so it was really small. And there was, again, less than 100 of us for my class. And that was including, like, we had international students, like there were us kids, and then there were international students from different countries who would come and stay and study for like a semester, a year, or whatever. And like just to get like that experience. And they were like, again, included in that count of like the 300, maybe 400 people, like 300 kids that I'll like estimate to. But it was really small, and I feel like it made it even harder to stand out. It made it harder to be yourself, because you would see like the pockets of kids, and you know, who maybe like sat by themselves, who would like sit with a couple friends, who was just them and like a teacher, like whatever it was. Like, it was easier to see, and it was harder to, I feel like, stand out in a way. So it was just like, and also like, since you're in that group with those kids, like it is harder to move from one friend group to another. Like if we, like say you just grow out of a friend group and you don't feel yourself like aligning with those kids anymore. You don't feel like you're as close as you were, say like freshman year, if like, so this is like junior year, whatever. It was harder to move from that original group of friends and to sort of fit into a new group of friends. And it was just more convenient to stay friends with the same people all 4 years. even if by the 4th year you couldn't stand each other. So yeah, it was, again, harder to be myself. Again, personally speaking, I don't know like how any other kids that I went to school with feel, but it was harder for me to be myself. And it was like kids that I sort of got along with, but at the core of who I was, I don't think we really like got along. And it, like, we would have fun and we would like do silly things together and we would like hang out, do stuff after school, but it was like, again, at the core of things that I cared about and the things that they cared about, we didn't really align. And I remember just always being asked to like go to parties, to hang out and do stuff. And I am someone who I've talked about this before. I think my camera's falling, but I am someone who I really enjoy my solitude and I really enjoy my time to myself. And it can be really hard for me to, what do I want to say? Like, to replenish that energy after I've been with people for a long time. And it takes, like, say if I'm with somebody for like a full day, I'm with a group of people for a full day, it takes me like a couple days to get my energy back. I don't know why. I think that's obviously just how I am. I don't really know if there's a rhyme or reason. It's just how my energy works. And I just remember in high school, like, always being asked to do stuff and then me saying like, no, like, I don't really want to, like, I kind of want to go home and do this first and then maybe I'll meet you guys later. And they'd be like, no, like, you gotta stay, and we want to do this together, like, no, you have to come. And it was just a lot of like guilting and stuff like that. And I also think as I got older and sort of went through college, and not really until a couple years ago that I got used to people not listening to me, and that just became my reality. And then I just like kind of shut up and I really stopped expressing myself. Like, when I would say no, and people took that as a challenge. Like, I've been around so many people who take no as a challenge. They don't just take it as, you know, a sentence. Like, no is its own sentence. You don't need to justify it. You can just say no if you don't want to do something. But yeah, I've been around people who would challenge that. So I just started, I think, closing up more, and keeping my emotions to myself, because again, it was easier to try to fit in and go to those parties even though I was exhausted. Because if it meant that those people didn't want to talk to me, it was hard to be on my own at 17, like 18, and not really feel like anybody was my friend. Like, right now, I'm fine with it. Like, I don't really talk to any of those people anyway. And I'm very selective about who I talk to in general. So it's not something that I would mind now, but 10 years ago, especially with other things going on, like at home and stuff like that, I don't think I could have handled it. So I just chose to fit in, and I chose to go to those parties. I chose to be guilted into doing stuff. Even when I said no, I chose to, you know, just like, okay, like, maybe, like, try to talk myself into it. Like, okay, maybe this might be a good time. Even though deep down, I knew it wasn't going to be a good time. I knew I did not want to be there, and I knew I would rather be in my home, in bed, just doing whatever I wanted to. Like, I didn't want to go to the parties. I didn't want to go to the concerts. I didn't want to do this, that, whatever. Like, it was just a lot for me to be around those people. And then in addition to be around like other people, again, say if it was a concert, if it was a party, if it was something that I truly did not want to be around and did not have the energy for, it was so freaking draining. And where does this go in my notes? Oh yeah, so this is the next part that I wrote. I've also grown up around people who live in their fears and their limiting beliefs, saying things like, oh, that won't work out, that's weird, why would you want to do that, like, that's so stupid, like, you're not gonna like that. So I grew up around a lot of people, and I was raised by a lot of people who that was just their thought. And also, like I said, people who lived in their fears, and just because they had one life experience, like, if they tried something, it didn't work out, it wasn't going to work out for anybody, period. Like, because they had that experience, that meant everybody else did. So I lived with, honestly, pretty selfish people who, because I feel like that can be a really selfish and self-centered response when you like tell somebody not to do something because of your own experience. Like, you don't know how that person is going to experience that same thing. It could work for them. They could be just exactly what that like area that, you know, if it's a business, whatever that business idea is, that could be exactly what people are missing. And that person who is trying to go after that business idea is going to do it in a way that people need to see. So like, you never know. And I also found myself in one situation where I was like being like those people that raised me. And I feel like when we are raised with certain beliefs and ideals, that we don't really know how to do anything else. That really just becomes what it is because an adult said so. It just becomes fact. And it can be really, really hard to shake that. It can be really hard to unlearn behaviors and, like I said, beliefs, ideals, things that adults teach us are the truth. And, you know, just because I said so, it can be really, really hard to grow up and learn to do something else, to learn what works for you, and to also learn like, hey, maybe this adult was speaking in their, you know, insecurity. They were projecting this onto me, even though like maybe this could have worked out for me. Like if I had tried this when I was 15, like I really wanted to, instead of, you know, my grandma telling me that it wasn't going to work out, maybe it could have worked out if I really put my effort into it. And there was one time I was talking to my cousin, and we were just like, it was before she went to college. So we were talking about the colleges she wanted to go to. And she was saying that she wanted to go to a local community college because she didn't want the debt. And I was like, oh, like, good luck. And I was like, you know, I just felt like I felt at the time, like no matter what you do in school, there's going to be debt, because that is what I was taught, that like college is going to be expensive. Things are going to be expensive. You're going to have to pay no matter what. And that was what I was taught. And then she really explained it to me that she wouldn't have any debt because her dad was in the military, that like things would be paid for. And, you know, if she just went like the first couple years, she could go to another school after what she learned, and she can do like whatever. Like she had like this planned out already. And I was like, oh shit, did I really just like do that? Did I really do something that, you know, I didn't like other people doing to me? And I was like projecting my ideas onto her based on my own experience, that you're gonna live in debt, and like the people around me like didn't really care about college because of how much debt it was. And they didn't like, did I really just do this to her? And it was something that I really had to reflect on. And even though she didn't go to that school, she went to a different school. It was really a lesson for me to like just shut up and like learn something. Like I don't know everything, and it was really a lesson that I will always remember. Like I remember exactly where we were, and I remember exactly how like embarrassed I felt, because it was like a light bulb went off, and I was like, I don't really know everything. Like I know my experiences, and I think that is just what life is, that we know our experiences, and we have to be really, really humble and like painfully open-minded in order to grasp and understand other people's experiences. Like you really, really need to try, maybe not painfully, like I said, but you truly need to consciously, you know, have the awareness to try and understand other people, because there are people who don't care to understand other people, who will live their entire life unaware of how they come across, how they're even ruining their own life and like keeping themselves back in ways. So I guess you can either live like that, or you can live in the self-awareness and the ability and the humility to grow, that we don't know everything. And, you know, we're learning these things. Like as humans, we are learning how to like talk to people, how in certain times when we are putting our own perspective and our own prejudice onto somebody else's ideas or wishes or dreams or whatever it was. Like if it was in my example that I was just doing that to my cousin, even though she had this whole thing planned out. And I hope that she went to her college. I might have to talk to her about this if it ever comes up to me again, but I hope she went to her college not with that not in her mind. And I don't think I'm like super like powerful, like in a selfish way. Like I don't think that she went to that college because of me. I don't think that. But I hope she went to the college because she enjoys it. Because I know she does, like, you know, where she is. She met her boyfriend, and like she's enjoying other things down there where she is. So I hope she truly like went to that college because she really loved it. Well, she must, because she hasn't been up this summer. So before I cry, because I miss her so much, I am going to move on to something else. Where's my next point? Yeah, the beliefs we have are taught to us by those around us, and it can be really hard to teach ourselves new beliefs. Yeah, I've been taught by people that life is hard, credit cards suck. That's what my dad says all the time. He hates credit cards. But it's like, a credit card is not bad unless you don't pay it. A credit card is fine. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong about a credit card. There's nothing inherently wrong about money. Money is not evil. Like, money is, it can be a conduit for, you know, success and like happiness in other areas of your life. It can bring you other things, and it doesn't mean that thing is inherently evil or bad. Like how my dad tells me that credit cards are bad, and he's never gotten a credit card. I don't know why he thinks that, but having a credit card is bad if you don't pay it, and you have all of this debt, and you know, it goes to a collection and like ruins your credit score, and then you got to pay all this extra. Like, that is not good. But that is also like kind of, I know everybody's situation is different, but like, it can kind of be your own fault. Like you had something to play in that, like whether or not, like maybe a life emergency happened and you had to put things on a credit card. Absolutely, that has happened to me before. But also, if you're not making those payments and you're not even trying to make those payments, and it's been years and years and years, and you've just like hoping that will go away, that's not good. Because that's gonna come back and get you in one way. You're gonna be paying more than just money. Like, it's gonna be a lot that takes advantage of, and a lot that goes into that. So yeah, so I was just really raised by those kind of people who thought, it was easier to be safe. It was easier to not like rock the boat in any way. Even if you're miserable, even though if you feel like you're drawn to other things, like my dad has also talked about like wanting to be a coach and wanting to like do all of these other things, but like would make excuses that he couldn't for X, Y, and Z reasons. But that is also him keeping himself in that reality. Like, you can, if you wanted to be a coach, you can start at maybe even like the town level. Like, you can just even like be there and sort of learn and allow yourself to be taught by the other coaches. And like, the more you're there, the more experience you can get, and you can like move yourself up, you know, to become your own coach. So there are ways that we can reach our dreams. It doesn't all have to make sense when we first think about them. And, you know, if it's just a little seed, if it's just an idea in your head, you can get there if you allow yourself to. My thing is slipping again. I've noticed sometimes when I edit this and I will like scroll through the whole video to do my little clips, that I can see it like dropping and stuff like that. So that's funny, but I hope that stays for now. Yeah, so I was really raised by people who chose to take the safe route, even if it meant that they were unhappy. So that's what I did. I did just what they said. I went to a private high school because my mom told me to, and because she didn't like my friends in middle school, even though I loved them. And, you know, my middle school friends were still like the people that I had like talked to, and sort of, I hung out with one of them, like even when I was like in my 20s after college. Or it was during college, I don't remember. But it was like, that was one of the people. Like, I haven't talked to anybody from high school. But I was forced to go to that high school. I was forced to go to a private school. And I was forced to really like try to be there and to make friends. Like, I remember like fighting my mom about going to this college. I cried. I fought with her for so long. And, you know, I had to go to that school, even though it didn't really matter. After high school, like when I was going into college, it didn't matter where I had gone to high school. So that was just like, I know I have the experiences from high school and stuff like that, and all of this that I talk about that has made me who I am. But I was like, really? Like, I didn't have to do all that. I could have just gone to the high school in my town with my middle school friends, like whatever. But, you know, as an adult, I am tired of listening to people and living for other people. And I feel like when I was younger, it was so hard to choose myself, and it was so hard to not try to ruffle the feathers of other people, because I feel like it was, you know, the the way I was raised, the only thing that I knew was to just fit in. And even when like I sort of didn't feel like I was fitting in with the people I was around, like I would immediately feel it. I would immediately feel out of place with certain people, and I would just feel like, yeah, we weren't for each other, and that's okay. And I would immediately feel that, but also have to be in situations with those people like for years and years, which really kind of sucked. But, you know, as an adult and being able to choose the people I'm around and being more comfortable with who I am. Like I said, when I was in high school, even though like I knew I didn't fit in, it was hard to fit out, basically, and to stand out because like the school was so small, and it was harder to do anything really on my own because I also wasn't that strong. I wasn't that strong like mentally, like my confidence wasn't that strong, and it was just easier to fit in and to talk to people at a surface level. But yeah, as an adult, I'm like sick of that. I'm tired. I'm fed up. I'm sick of it. And I don't care who thinks I'm weird, even for coming on here, for talking about myself, for talking about my experiences. Like, I don't give a flying, like, cool. If that is how you feel. Also, if you have that much time to think about what somebody else is doing and to like be so in their business and to like be following what they're doing and to be like, oh, like they're stupid. Like, why are you even paying attention? Like, don't you have a job? Don't you have something else to do? That's why I don't understand why people will like follow what other people do just for the sole fact of making fun of them. Like, will never understand that. I'm glad I will never understand that because I'm not going to try to. That's just not who I am. That like, if you want to do something, like, cool. If it's not hurting you and it's not hurting another person, like, go for it. Who gives a heck? Who gives a heck? There are people who make, you know, like 5-6 figures a month selling pictures of their feet. Who cares? Who cares what you do? It's 2025. It's 2025. And that is also like why I won't understand, like, some of my family doesn't think that like being a designer is a viable financially stable job. Like, bro, what am I wearing right now? I'm wearing clothes. We all wear clothes. We all live in houses that, you know, are decorated or built by architects, construction workers, interior designers. Like, why? How does that make sense? How does that make sense when we all rely on design and people don't think it's a good job to have? Let me know. Let me know when y'all figure that out, because I'm not going to waste my time trying to figure that out. So that is why, where's my next note? Yeah, I said, even if people think I'm weird for coming on here, I really don't care. Cue that song by Demi Lovato, because when I wrote that was in my head. But yeah, it's healing for me to come on here and talk about my experiences, to be myself. It allows me to do things that I feel like I can't really do, or at least don't have the platform that people around me to do and to talk about otherwise. So I love coming on here. If you think it's weird, please click off. Please leave me alone and go do something more productive with your time. If you don't want to be here, I don't really care. I would rather you leave. Like, I don't care about the numbers. I care about, you know, the people who are meant to be here are here. I don't care if it's like 20 people or if it's 20,000 people, it's 20 million people. I don't care. As long as you're meant to be here and you care about being here and you care about what is being said, then I would love to have you here. If you don't really care and if you're just going to come by to troll, like, bro, go get a job. Do you not have a job? Go do something else. Go sell pictures of your feet. Go sell your underwear. Go sell your socks. Like, I don't care. Go do something else with your time, please. But I hope that, you know, me coming on here, which is really healing for me, I hope it's healing for others who are looking for like a genuine, like, I don't know, just someone who, you know, I don't want to be fake. I'm tired of being fake. I'm tired of not doing what I care to do. And I feel like that is how we should all be. I can see my tea on the ceiling, but we should all be being ourselves, no matter what that is. Like, if you just want to, you know, travel and take pictures and post your adventures and post your things, and like, you can get sponsorships from that and you can do all that, like, do that. Whatever if you genuinely want to do that, you're not just doing that for like, because you see other people doing that, because As long as you are genuinely called to do that, do that. Because people can do that, and people do that all the time. I see so many hundreds, thousands of influencers who have like hundreds of thousands of followers and people who love what they do. And I think that is so inspiring to see that there are people who can just like go and travel and do fun things. And so just do whatever you feel called to do. And anybody who is telling you not to is too scared to do what makes them happy. If somebody's telling you not to do something that makes them happy, they're probably intimidated by you doing what makes you happy because they're not doing what makes them happy. They see that you're doing that and they're like, oh, like that is actually possible. Yes, it is possible to do what makes you happy. You don't have to fit into a box. You don't need to do what your parents have told you for the past 20 years that you need to be doing. You can break that mold at any time. You can get out of that box at any time if you allow yourself to. So you don't need to do what people are telling you to do. Take it from me. You don't need to do what people are telling you to do. Even if every day they're telling you and they're putting like dirt on your name, whatever it is, who cares? Take it as a compliment that they're so focused on what you're doing that they need to be involved in every step. So, I mean, you got a fan. I think every hater is a fan because they're watching you no matter what. So just make sure, you're doing what makes you genuinely happy, because no one who is, this is what I wrote, no one who's genuinely happy is going to judge another person for doing what makes them happy. I forget what the actual saying is, but it's like people don't like bully upwards, or like somebody like, so like if somebody who is happy and who is like way up here, just like abundant, successful, and just like content in their life, is not going to bully someone who is not. Like someone is going to bully who they are intimidated by, or who they're scared of, or who they're just like, whatever it is. I don't think people who are like up here completely happy and content with their lives are going to be worried about what's happening below them. So yeah, I would take that as like a thought. Also, that kind of helped me a little bit, because sometimes I do get like upset, like why do people care so much about what I'm doing? It's because like they probably see what we're doing and are maybe threatened by it, are shocked that it's possible, like if they wanted to do something similar, and the only way they know how to handle their emotions is by getting defensive. And that doesn't mean that they're right. It doesn't mean that you should stop what you're doing. It doesn't mean that like if they're bullying you, that's okay. But just continue to do what you genuinely feel called to do. And that is all we can do in this life, really. Like, you never know who you're gonna affect and who you're going to inspire, but just make sure you're doing what you feel called to do. And if it is like, also, this is something that I was sort of like, I know this video is super long, but also I was really more called to talk more genuinely. And instead of the things that I actually wrote on my paper, like everything that I journaled about, instead of doing that, I wanted it to be more authentic and things that were coming fresh off the dome, because I feel like there's a lot of parts of my personality that I don't really show, and there are a lot of like, just silly, goofy things that I actually do and say, and I'm actually like, that I don't really portray in the videos. Because I do love to come on here and give like a word of advice or anything like that from my personal experiences, but I was lacking some of my personal experiences. Even though I tried to make it short, and I was also worried about how that would, how people would respond to that. Like if people didn't want to watch a 40-minute video, I was like, okay, like let me not make it 40 minutes. But if I had 40 minutes worth of things to say, why shouldn't I make a 40-minute video? So even me, sometimes I can let fear get in my way, but I am pushing through that. And again, this is me coming on today to make a 40-minute video. But also, this is my last page, these are my last notes, that all healing can be sometimes is just doing what makes you unapologetically happy. Healing doesn't have to be some deep, like journaling, scripting, and literally going through every second of your life and why you are the way you are. healing can just be doing what makes you happy. It could be going outside to braid some pieces of grass. It could be like climbing a tree. It could be playing with your pets. It could be getting a new pet. Like whatever it is that makes you happy, be silly, have fun, do whatever that makes you, feel your best self. Because I think in doing that, we can heal so many wounds that people had put on us when they were trying to control us and, trying to keep us in a certain box or keep us from doing certain things. And I think a lot of those things, like I was talking about earlier in the video, is that a lot of things that I loved to do in middle school, I had stopped doing after people were like, no, that's kind of weird, that's kind of stupid. But before people told me those things were stupid, I loved doing them, so why shouldn't I continue doing them? And I think I've learned that more as an adult, because I've literally gone to like think back about things that I loved as a kid, because as an adult, I love watching the Jurassic Park movies. I love them so much, and I watch probably one of them a week. I've read the first book. I read that, I think, last month in June, and I have the second one. It's The Lost World, and I'm probably going to read that when I go on vacation in a few weeks. I love those so much. I think there's 7 of them now, and I've seen all of them. I just saw the new one too, and I just love the dinosaurs. Even though in the original movies it was obviously like an animatronic, but I think those ones are a bit scarier because of the way they move. That's just me thinking out loud. But I love those movies. I also love Daddy Daycare. That is one of my favorite movies, even though it has a really bad Rotten Tomato score, and people just don't understand it. Like that is such a good movie. When Max is like, I missed, and then Eddie Murphy goes into the bathroom, and there's like probably, I don't know if there actually is, but he's such a good actor that there was probably poop and pee all over that bathroom, and he just looked horrified. But it was great. He's great. That was great acting on his part. 10 out of 10. So I don't know why it has a 27% Rotten Tomato score. I will never understand, but I'm just going to keep loving that movie. And I probably watch that maybe 3 or 4 times a year. Same with The Cat in the Hat. That one has a 10% Rotten Tomato score. I actually wrote them down before I did this video because I was just like so exasperated that like I can't believe that people don't understand these movies, because I think they're just so wild. Sometimes I think that I like lose my mind while I'm watching The Cat in the Hat, because it's just such a good movie. And I'm talking about the live action one with Mike Myers and Dakota Fanning, but I love that movie. Those are great movies. And I still, at 28, I almost said 27 for some reason, I'm 28 and I still love those movies. And I love to feel like I'm still 8, because I feel like this might also be my next video, but I feel like whether good or bad, we still go through life with that inner child in us, and we can choose to accept who we are as children and like the things that we loved as kids, or we can choose to live in an unhealed, like angry 10-year-old kind of body, like, and not really heal and not really, I just feel like the things that we really, really love and the people that we really are, the people that we were when we were kids, before anybody told us that those things were weird and like things were stupid, whatever they said. But I think it can be so healing to go back to your childhood and to see the things you loved, and not really so much relive like any trauma or anything like that. I think that can be easy. That can be something powerful to process. I almost said easy, but it's not easy at all. I think it's something powerful to process, and I think it's something worth it if that is something that you want to do. But I think also just thinking about the great things as a kid, like if you had an easy bake oven, and if that's something as an adult you really want to get, or if there was a certain cereal that you loved as a kid, and you really want to go grocery shopping and get that cereal, like have a good time. You never know how that, like say it's still cereal, you never know how a bowl of like Lucky Charms is going to heal you. Like honestly, doing stuff like that, doing stuff that you love to do as a kid, can be super, super healing as an adult. I completely 100% stand by that, because I've also seen that like with my dad. Like I said, I've said before that we go grocery shopping together just because I like to help him. And honestly, I asked him once to go grocery shopping. I wasn't sure how he would take it, because I don't really do things with him, or at least at the time I didn't. And like now we always go grocery shopping together. It's so cute. Because like growing up, I never really went shopping with my dad as, is normally, like, we would go for Christmas shopping and stuff like that, and even though that's like once a year, my mom would bring us back to school shopping, she would bring us grocery shopping, she would bring us clothes shopping. So like going grocery shopping with my dad and doing something different with him was like, that was something I just really wanted to do, and I think it's so fun. And it's a nice time to like hang out with him, because like also when we're going down the aisles, he will like wait for me to like grab something at the end, and he'll be like, okay, like I'll be here. Like he won't go the rest of the store and do his stuff. Like we will literally go aisle by aisle together. It's so cute. But yeah, one time, maybe a couple months ago, I was at the grocery store with my dad, and he really wanted like a certain snack that he hadn't had in a long time. And I was like, go ahead and get it. Like, I feel like that's what we should be doing. We should be, you know, nostalgic in a way that is going to, I think, like make us happy, and to do things that are making us happy. And to realize the things that we used to love, like whether it's a food, a snack, a meal, to eat that thing, to do that thing, to go skateboarding, to go ride a bike. Like if you haven't ridden a bike in a while and you used to love it, like go and do that, because I think that is going to be healing in a way that you probably don't expect. And yeah, yeah, that was it. But where I ended this with the last few sentences, I wrote, because when you're fearless is when you can be truly happy. So be unafraid to love what you love, no matter what anyone says. Life will be so much more peaceful and freeing this way, when you are just doing what you love to do, and you're finding the blessings in, you know, the chaos, finding the blessings in not fitting in, and standing out. Because, you know, if you're standing out, there's a reason that you're standing out. And, you know, just continue to do what feels right to you. And if you don't feel comfortable, you know, hiding yourself, don't hide yourself then. Do what you love, and continue to do that no matter what anybody says. Because yeah, honestly, I think I've said everything that I need to say. I'm just probably going to reiterate, but yeah. And I think while I'm sitting here, I'm probably going to record my next video. But we'll see how I feel. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you guys on Monday. If you have any like testimonies, any things that you want to comment below, anything that like you might relate to, whatever it is, let me know. I'd love to read it. But yeah, and again, blog is in the description if you ever want to read it. They will be there for every video. But bye for now.